Oh, good morning, everybody. How are we all doing? I hope we're doing well. It's a Tuesday morning. I'm feeling a lot brighter than yesterday. I'll put it like that. Feeling a lot brighter than yesterday. And of course, we've got some exciting transfer news to be talking about. We're going to give it 90 seconds to let people into the stream. Then we'll be starting. Let me know in the chat how you're doing. Good morning, Mohammed Daddy. Good morning, Vego. How you doing, mate? Oh, you know what's been bad for me this morning? Hay fever. I don't know any of you lot in the UK. It's been really bad for me this morning. Morning, WI. So apologise if I'm sneezing every once in a while. I am sorry. Good morning, Red Devils. How you doing, mate? It's good to see so many of the regular faces in today. We've got some exciting stuff coming up later as well. Ben Jacobs is going to be on the channel with Anil Condola. I'll be talking more about that in a second. Afsval, good morning, mate. Yes, Red Devils, I've seen that. Give me about 10 more seconds and we'll start the stream properly. We have a lot to talk about today, guys. We have a lot to talk about. I'm excited. I'm very, very excited. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the MPB Morning Show. I'm your host, Alex, at Alex Tortsall, and it seems that with every day that passes at Manchester United, the situations is a little bit more interesting, exciting, complex, a little bit better. Coming up on today's show, we have the latest on Gonzalo Inácio, the increasingly complex Casemiro situation, and of course, we will be talking about Erik ten Hag and the first bid of Manchester United this summer as we go for João Neves. If you're looking forward to all that, leave a like on the video as well as hitting that subscribe button, and as always, get involved in the chat down below. I want to hear what you're saying. I want to have a discussion with you. This isn't just me talking at you. It's a conversation on the MUFC MPB channel. Good morning, Wanda on the beat. Good morning. We're going to get into Gonzalo Inácio and his situation in a second. But first, I want to announce that at 2 o'clock today, Anil Condola will be interviewing Ben Jacobs in a conversation, in an interview where we'll be discussing everything Manchester United. And if you're looking forward to that, please hit that subscribe button so you do not miss it. But first, before all of that, I'm going to be taking you through the very latest on Manchester United, starting off with the reports on Gonzalo Inácio. Yesterday, as I'm sure we've all seen, Fabrizio Romano reported that as soon as the manager position is clarified, Manchester United will move for a right-footed centre-back. United are also actively working on the possibility of bringing in a left-footed centre-back too. One of the players the club appreciates and have been scouting is Sporting's Gonzalo Inácio, who has a release clause of around £51 million. There is so much to get into with that report. First of all, it's Fabrizio Romano. Morning, Sam Boss. First time on the channel. Looking forward to your content. Thanks for joining us, mate. Good morning, Ayinka. How you doing? Good morning, Ahmed. Fabrizio Romano is, as we've all discussed on this channel before, one of the most reliable that there is. He's very well connected with agents, occasionally clubs. He's moved more towards talking to agents. I think that's quite clear here. And I'm really enjoying his reporting at the moment. He's been almost back to his best. He's getting exclusives. He got the Ross Barkley exclusive yesterday. He got another exclusive, the Luis Guimaraes deal, which apparently fell through, which Fabrizio Romano already did the Here We Go on. Is going ahead. He seems to be back to his very best. I think that's clear here. I'm taking all of this here as gospel. All of it is gospel. First of all, it starts at the top. As soon as the manager position is clarified, Manchester United will move for a new right-footed centre-back. The manager position is holding everything up. It's holding everything up at the moment. It's completely causing the stream to all transfer business, all contract negotiations, everything to come to a complete standstill. And I think it's a bit of an indictment on INEOS. They're not really moving forward. And it also shows, I think, this report, that we're both looking at a left-footed centre-back and a right-footed centre-back. We're interested in both. And it's very clear that we're signing a left-footed centre-back and a right-footed centre-back. But first of all, what does the chat think on Gonzalo Inácio? What are we feeling about that, guys? Are you excited to see him come? We've had some fans of the of the lad before he's 22 years old. He's a Portuguese player, Portuguese centre-back out of Sporting. He's from the academy. The same academy that's produced Cristiano Ronaldo. The same academy that's produced Nuno Mendes. What are we thinking about INACIO as the right back? Ayinka says, I don't think we should go for INACIO. He's too expensive right now. Plus, he's a left-sided centre-back. First, we need to get Todibo and at least 2 defensive midfielders. Then only can we spend something like this on INACIO. The boy is good, says Wanda on the beat. We'll get on to my opinions on INACIO in a second. But first, I want to sort of talk about the other reports when it comes to INACIO. Record Portugal, one of the better outlets in Portugal, says Manchester United are preparing to move forward with a proposal to sign Gonzalo Inácio. The offer may be presented in the coming days. United are the best placed club to convince Inácio and Sporting. Informal contact has already taken place between the parties. Ojogo, who we spoke about yesterday as well, a very reliable agents sort of driven outlet in Portugal, says Manchester United are preparing an offer for Sporting centre-back Gonzalo Inácio. Everything here is about... It's all about preparation here. We're talking, we're informally discussing. Yes, we made contact with the representatives. Maybe we put out a feeler to Sporting to say, look, we're interested in the player, we're looking at him. But nothing concrete has happened yet. I don't believe a bid's gone in. I don't believe we've really set forth any concrete proposals. But everything here is saying it's a little bit more than the word interest. We're talking about preparing an offer. We're talking about the words such as putting forward a proposal. All of this screams formal interest is coming and coming soon. Jack Nibbett says, yes, I agree. Todibo needs to be a priority. Then we need to be looking at a left-footed centre-back. I think that's a thing which I have my reservations on with Inácio. He's a left-footed centre-back. And he costs £51 million. And I think there's better players available on the market for a similar amount of money. 50 United says, I DM'd MPB a bomber from South America on Anselmino. We'll have a look at that in a second, mate. Wanda on the beat says, Inácio, Todibo, a DM, and Elise will do. Let me know if you agree with that in the chat. 50 million is a lot for a squad player. I don't think this would be a move to make him a squad player, to be honest. I think, interestingly enough, any centre-back that comes in a left-sided centre-back will be pushing Lisandro Martinez out as a left-back. I think, yes, it's good to have rotation, and Inácio can himself play left-back as well. It's seeming like the move for Branthwaite, which we're considering as well. We are looking at a player who can play left-sided centre-back and left-back as well. And that brings me to another question. Who would you rather have at centre-back? Considering we are splitting this position in half, left side and right side, Inácio obviously plays on the left side. Would you have Branthwaite or Inácio as your centre-back? Ayinka says, both the targets from the Portuguese league are not for me. Neither Inácio nor Neves. We'll be getting on to Neves very, very soon. We're talking about the Erik ten Hag situation soon as well. We have a lot to discuss on stream today, my friends. Jack Nibbett says, I beg we get João Neves, him and Mainu for years. Let me know if you agree with that in the chat. Let me know. And personally, when it comes to Gonzalo Inácio, my main reservation is, we spoke a lot about it on this channel already, the physical floor and physical ceiling needs to be raised. Inácio, he's no slouch in the air. He's 6'1", he can win headers from corners. He's a bit of a dominant force in the opposition box. I have a few questions around his ability to box defend in the same way Varane can, in the same way Lisandro Martinez can. I have a few questions about that. He doesn't love contact. He's not a stranger to it, but he doesn't love it. He's not rushing into tackles, and that's not really something I'm looking for in a centre-back. Like, we're looking at Lisandro Martinez, we're looking at Rafael Varane, who really enjoy getting into contact with players. Harry Maguire, I don't want another Victor Lindelof who stands off of them. One thing you can't really deny about Inácio is his ball-playing ability. If you want to, right now, get it on your other device, get it on your phone, get it on your laptop, search up Inácio, ball-playing, or Inácio passing, Inácio dribbling. He moves like a six, jinking his hips, moving from side to side, throwing in feints, nutmegging players. He's really, really good on the ball. His passes are superb. He ranks in like the 98th or 99th percentile for progressive dribbling and progressive carries and progressive passes. He's certainly a player who can advance plays. He can play out from the back really easily. And that's why I really quite like the idea of bringing him in. but we're a team that needs structure. We're a team that needs to be compact after a really terrible defensive year. That needs to be improved upon. And players like Jarrad Branthwaite, who are much stronger, who are much taller, have a much better physical profile, and still hold a bit more of a... They're quite technically proficient. Branthwaite can move the ball. He's not as good as INACIO. I don't think there's more than 5 players in world football at centre-back on the back line who are better than INACIO on the ball. Oh, sorry. But I still think Branthwaite as an overall profile is a little bit better. Let's see what you lot are saying. Jack Nimbert says Todibo and Martin are starting, then INACIO and Lindelof on the bench. You would rather have Lindelof to Harry Maguire, Jack? Who would you rather have? Let me know. Yinka says, but to be honest, if you're giving me an option on Branthwaite and INACIO, I would take INACIO because he can also play left back. He'll be cheaper than English tax Branthwaite. Jarrad Branthwaite is a better defensive centre back than INACIO, and he's also more versatile. If you've just joined the stream, we're talking everything from INACIO to João Neves to Erik ten Hag and to Casemiro and Sofiane Amrabat today. We've got loads to talk about, and if you're free for day at 2 o'clock, our very own Neil Condola will be interviewing Ben Jacobs on all the latest Manchester United news from his side, a journalist side. So stay tuned and hit the subscribe button if you're looking forward to that. Reddy says, I think most would prefer Branthwaite over INACIO, but Everton's asking price is way too high. INACIO costs £51 million, guys. Fabrizio Romano said it. That is gospel. That is fact. If Fab says it, I'm taking it completely true. I'm taking it as completely truthful. And also with the INACIO situation, it does sort of feel, look, I like Ajogo, I like Record. I think they're great outlets. But Fab reporting it just sort of feel they were picking up the pieces on him a little bit. I think they're presenting it as a little bit further forward. They might even be sort of saying United are a bit more interested because Liverpool have also thrown that hat in the ring. Fab mentioned Liverpool. So I think they might be trying to just draw some interest from elsewhere using United's name, as most people do, to try and generate a bit more interest. Brian says, I think Antonio Silva is better than INACIO, to be fair. We've not really seen any links for Silva at all. I like Silva as well. To be honest with you, I do think Arsenal. He's Arsenal bound, if I'm being honest. Ahmed says Branthwaite is better, but he costs a lot. I think Branthwaite will cost £55 million in total. 55, 60 million. I think Everton saying they want 70, 80, 90 million is poppycock. I'm sorry, it stinks of BS. They're financially so poor. Branthwaite is not worth that money. It's just a front. I promise you guys. Sayan Bose says, I also think we need another striker. Also, Eriksen may be leaving along with Donny. So do we have any targets for a second cam or a second 10? Talking about that a bit later, it's not really something on United's list. It's something we have Mason Mount coming in for. He can play as a 10. Amad Diallo can come back. He can play as a 10. There's certainly players in the squad who can already perform that role. Should have gone for Barkley as an Eriksen replacement, to be honest. Yes, mate. Brian, thank you for that. I completely agree with you. Ross Barkley to Aston Villa is one of the smartest pieces of business I've seen in the Premier League for a long time. Ten Hag looking likely to be sacked, says Premium. Premium, stay around for about 20 more minutes. I'll be telling you my opinion and what I think Fabrizio Romano thinks by reading in between the lines of his reports. So in a second, we're going to be moving on to talking about João Neves. But is there anything else we really want to be talking about with INACIO? Anything else? Chat, I want to hear what your opinion is. Jarrad Branthwaite or Gonzalo Inácio? Who would you rather have at Manchester United? You know what? Even take price out of it. Who would you want? Gonzalo Inácio or Jarrad Branthwaite? Joe Dunn the 6 says, what's the point in streaming this if it's not true? It is true. The interest in Gonzalo Inácio is true. The whole point of me and the whole point of this channel is to help you look through the news to figure out what's true, what's more reliable, what's less reliable, and to discuss and form a common consensus. A lot of reports seek to mislead you. A lot of reports seek to sort of manipulate you and take you places. I'm here to sort of guide you a little bit and sort of figure out together, it's not just my opinion, figure out together what the news is actually telling us. Reddy says Branthwaite's WY says Inácio better. Branthwaite is so overrated. He looked quite good for England last night. if any of you watched that games. Pandy says Tolibo and Lenny Yoro, my two preferable options. I agree. I have a lot of time for both players. Lenny Yoro is my personal pick for centre-back. I would take Lenny Yoro if we, as only one player, instead of taking two of the others. I think he's that good. Brian says INACIO should have been starting for Portugal by now if he was that good. The Portuguese national team still start Cristiano Ronaldo from time to time, mate. Like, there's so many politics being involved there. I don't really like taking national team football as like gospel either, because like look at England and Gareth Southgate. Like, Southgate had his favourites. He's like, Marcus Rashford isn't playing for England this summer, and you don't see people dispatching of Rashford so easily because of that. Todibo is what I want. INACIO every day and twice on Sundays. I'm tired of overrated, overhyped English players, says Sheldon Toulon. Ruddy says, is Lenny Yoro ready to start for us though? In my opinion, he is. We had a really big discussion on that a couple of days ago. I think Lenny Yoro is more than ready to start for Manchester United. I think he'll be raw, I think he'll be young, but his just sheer raw talent, sheer raw athleticism is what you need at United. It's what you need. Are we not looking to sign two centre-backs? Yes, we are. I was just saying premium. If I could only have one, it would be Lenny Yoro. We need a right-footed centre-back. I agree, mate. I agree. And Fabrizio Romano reported that, yes, we are looking at a right-sided centre-back and a left-sided centre-back. Alex Devada says, so not Jared. We're looking for both. We're looking for both. In a second, we're going to be talking about potentially our first bid of the summer for João Neves. Any last opinions on the centre-back situation? Let me know. Lenny Yoro says, WY says, Lenny Yoro is the best young centre-back in the world, but he will go to Real Madrid. If there's any other reason you guys need convincing that Lenny Yoro is the man to start for Manchester United, Real Madrid want him. Biggest club in the world. Name me a time when they last missed on a player. Valverde, Tchouaméni, Vinicius Jr. Even when everyone laughed at him, he still came good. Rodrigo, Bellingham, Lunin, Joselu. That man was at Stoke City. Real Madrid bought him in. He scored goals in Champions League knockout rounds. Real Madrid's talent ID is exceptional. And if we're looking at Lenny Yoro, and Real Madrid are looking at Lenny Yoro, we're doing something right. What is the asking price of Lenny Yoro? Pretty much all of the top centre-backs, and this is sort of my conundrum with the centre-back position. All of the top players at centre-back are all going for a very, very similar price. 50, 60, maybe 70 million pounds. Which is why when I'm looking at it, I prefer Branthwaite over INACIO, because the prices are so similar, because Branthwaite will not go for 80 million pounds, when Lenny Yoro will go for 50 million pounds max. Why are we not selling players? Is that Casemiro 100 million bid true? There is interest in Casemiro. I do think the 100 million bid isn't exactly the most accurate thing in the world. It's not the most accurate thing in the world. And why are we not selling players? Well, read between the lines. Look at Fabrizio's tweet. He said it himself. If I get it up again. As soon as the manager position is clarified, we are waiting for the manager. Luckhurst said it as well. Players, agents, especially those moving out of the club, we're seemingly waiting on the manager situation to be sorted out before we move forward with it. Sheldon Toulon says, if we put in a 60 million euro bid for Neves, it must have came from my fax machine. That is a lovely segue into talking about João Neves. Record Portugal, a relatively reliable outlets for Portuguese news, Portuguese players, Portuguese teams, reported that Manchester United have already submitted a bid of around £51 million for Benfica's João Neves, which has been rejected by the club. They want at least £85 million. So, is this Manchester United's first bid of the summer? Have we made a splash into the transfer market? Have we gone full steam ahead trying to sign one of the best young players in world football? My answer is sort of. I know it's a very wishy-washy answer, but I'm waiting for any clarification from any potentially English outlets, anyone who's directly related to the club itself, because that's how we usually find out about these deals. I want to wait for the Muppeteers, I want to wait for Simon Stone, I want to wait for Ducker to formally report this, because personally, we've shown interest in João Neves. That has not been hidden. INEOS would love him. He's probably their ideal midfield player to bring in. But because of price, because of other reasons, that interest has already been somewhat downplayed at times. Like, look, he's going to cost £85 million. And I think a club at some point this summer or next summer will be paying that fee. What's more likely is this? Is it's someone's agent talking? It's João Neves' agent talking, is what I really feel. I think that there is genuine... I reckon what happened is, if I made a personal guess, and don't take this as gospel, it probably isn't the truth, but if I had to guess, it would be United made contact with his agent and maybe made contact with the club's representatives and said, look, how much do you want for João Neves? Here's how much we'd sort of think about spending on a midfielder. How much do you want? And this is probably how this bid has came about. That's probably how this bid has came about. If you're enjoying the stream so far, please leave a like on the video. We are at 18 likes so far. We hit 50 likes yesterday. Let's see how close we can get to that. Let's go. Let's move on to the best player, João Neves, my dream signing. There seems to be a lot of support for João Neves. Let me know in the chat. Why? Don't just say he's your dream signing. Why is João Neves your dream signing? Will he partner really well alongside Manu? Is he going to partner really well alongside Bruno? Do you love how physical he is? Do you love how hard he runs? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. Ayinka says, don't think we need Neves. I would rather take Fofana and Amrabat, says Huimland. Alex Devadas says, Ten Hag in, please. The situation is so similar when Sir Alex was on the verge of the sack, but we stuck with him. It's so similar. Just because it's similar doesn't mean it's the same, but we will be talking about that very, very soon. Pandy says, if we really want to fight for titles, we should sign Neves at any cost. WY says we should pay that £85 million. Good Lord, everyone loves this. Everyone loves Neves in the chat. We should pay £75 million. Pandy says, Arsenal paid £100 million and Madrid paid £100 million for Bellingham. And Neves is a similar type of player. We should go all out. Let's talk about this sort of £100 million player and when we should be signing them. In the past, United have made big money moves at a time when we don't really need them. We paid €90 million for Antony. We paid a lot of money for Paul Pogba. We paid a lot of money for Casemiro. These sort of big money deals are for teams that's when their project is complete, then you bring them in. Arsenal had that really interesting window when they signed like White, Tomiyasu. No, they didn't sign Zinchenko that window, did they? They signed a few others as well for about 100 million, but like 5 players, all worth 20, 25 million pounds each, maybe even as high as 40, 50. And they built a really good core. And then the summers after, then they bring in the luxury players. Then they bring in the Kai Havertz. Then they bring in the Declan Rice. Then they bring those superstar signings. They're going to bring in maybe Osimhen or Benjamin Sesko this summer. That's when they bring in the big boys to complete a team. And that's my thing with João Neves. That's my thing with João Neves. He would be perfect for us in 2-3 years' time. Right now, I think £85 million, £100 million, it's so much money, guys. That is a lot of money, which we just don't have to spend when you need to bring in a winger, when you need to bring in 2, maybe 3 centre-backs, when you want to bring in a full-back on either side, when you maybe want to bring in 2 midfield. It's just so much money that we just can't afford at the moment, guys. But let me know, would you rather bring in João Neves and miss out on a striker? Miss out on Elise? Tell me about that in the chat. Who would you rather have? Who would you rather have? Ten Hag out, Mark Goldbridge in. Mate, I love Mark Goldbridge. However, he has failed to win a match in all 3 games he's had in charge. Next charity stream, get me in. Sure, I can do a better job. Ousmane Diamonde. He's a player who, again, we're talking about Arsenal a lot today for some reason. Arsenal are linked to Diamonde. Scalvini at Atalanta, getting a lot of names in the chat about that, says Kadali. Kevin Dansmo, Todibo, centre-back says Kadali again. Are you Ten Hag out to the Yinka? Sort of. Such a tricky question. Again, give me 10 minutes, I'll get back to you on that. We'll do a proper deep dive on the Eric Ten Hag situation soon. Please stick around for that. Brian says, Elise interest has died down. Thought it was their number 1 target. There is a lot of interest in Elise. It seems that like he is their number 1 target for the right winger position. It seems to probably be the easiest deal to do. But with the manager situation stalling, like we all thought it was going to be yesterday. I think now it could be not even till later this week. Eric Ten Hag, according to Sky Sports News, believes that Eric Ten Hag is hoping to find out this week if he is going to keep his job as Manchester United manager. It was supposed to be last week. Now it's this week. And then maybe on Thursday we'll be told it's next week. Like, the manager situation, we've just got to keep calm about it. Hanboob says, are you from Germany? No, mate, I'm from Greece. From Greece and Scotland. That's where I'm from. But I live in England, hence the accent. Momo says, why can't Man United sign Sesko? Too expensive, mate. Too expensive. Githian Joseph says, isn't Gonzalo Inácio a weak physical profile? 60 million euro release clause is too much for him. I agree with you, mate. I agree with you. He's just not physically imposing enough, which is why I'm desperate for Branthwaite. Which is why you can't take both from Everton. Desperate for Branthwaite, desperate for Onana, desperate for those big players. But it's also why I'm not that keen on João Neves. Chat, can someone look up for me how tall João Neves is, please? Can someone have a little look up for me, please? How tall he is. Because I think he's my height. I think he's my height. And I wouldn't love a midfield with someone who's my height, someone who's 6 foot, and someone who's Bruno Fernandes, who is like, what, 5'9", 5'10" at the very max? That's just not that physically imposing of a midfield. And you go to City's midfield, you go to Arsenal's midfield, they're monsters. They're absolute monsters. So someone let me know how tall João Neves is, please, if you don't mind. He's 5'11". No way is he 5'11". I swear he's smaller than that. Sheldon Toulon says, the media are scraping the bottom of the barrel for United news, and I love it. They're just guessing at this point. I think they're guessing in terms of the manager situation. Yeah, mate. 4'11" says he's not that small, and I'm not that small. WY says 5'9", 5'9". So look, João Neves is an inch taller than me. That's nothing. I don't want João Neves anywhere near my midfield really at that height, to be honest. Not at the moment. Not unless you've got Amadou Onana next to him. Not in my opinion. Why is every player Manchester United are interested in is almost 60 to 100 million pounds? Because agents are driving the price up and we are not interested properly in half of those players. Not interested in half of those players. We're going to spend 2 more minutes on the... Oh, sorry. Hay fever is kicking my arse today. Sorry, guys. What time is Ben Jacobs on the channel? 2 o'clock today, mate. 2 o'clock. Everyone, please come along to that. Support my boy O'Neill. Support his stream. Let him know I sent you. Neves £100 million. I will go for a number 9. Any rogue opinions on Neves? If we don't bring in Neves, who else would you bring in midfield? Bring in 1 player? Bring in 2 players? Let me know in the chat. Pandy says McTominay is tall. Yeah, but he's not a long-term Manchester United starting midfielder, unfortunately. Any more opinions on Neves before we move on to Erik ten Hag? Do I rate McTominay, says X O'Brien. I rate McTominay as a squad player. He loves the club. He's a Manchester United lad. He supports the club. He loves the club. He's a physical profile who's really helpful. He's a fox in the box. He scores goals for us. But he's not a starting Premier League player. Reddy says Højlund. I know very little about Højlund. Reddy, can you let me know? What do you like about him? What do you like about him? Ainka says Fofana. Yeah, Fofana attacking football exclusively revealed that we are interested in him. Sheldon Toulon says, what's the obsession with tall players in midfield? If he's physical enough, it shouldn't matter if he's 5'8" or 6'4". Unless they're N'Golo Kante or a similar-esque player, it's very difficult to get away with being 5'8" in midfield, especially when you're surrounded with a Kobbie Mainoo, especially when you're surrounded by Bruno Fernandes. It's why I only would want to bring Amad Diallo back as a 10 if you've got a dominant 6 at the base, if you've got an Amadou Onana, just to balance it out. I haven't watched enough of João Neves to talk about it. Not like that at least. If he is that physical, if he's got that running power, if he can cover that large space, sure, I can talk more about him. But when it comes to João Neves, it's a case of I look at his physical frame, I look at a few clips of him, I just don't think off first impression, it's purely off first impression, I don't think that he is physical enough for United yet at the current physical level. We should get Edison, says Ahmed. A lot of people love him. No need for a tall centre mid, says WI. Fair enough. If you guys disagree, that's fair. I get it. I really do get it. But the bid for Neves has been rejected, so what next? It's a waiting game, my friend. It's a waiting game. Reddy says, for a little bit of context on Højlund. Højlund is very good in possession from what I've seen, and he's decent off the ball. He's no João Neves, but he's a bit taller and cheaper. I'm going to get a rep for only liking tall people, aren't I? I'm going to get a rep for that, aren't I, chat? Oh, for God's sake. It's not the only thing I like about midfielders, but I love my midfielders to be physically strong. Let's be honest. So, Erik ten Hag. We've discussed the players for a little bit. We'll get back onto them in a little bit. We'll be talking about Benjamin Sesko later. We'll be talking about Sofian Amrabat later. But first, we're going to break down the next steps of Erik ten Hag and who I think the next United manager is going to be. So stay tuned for that. So, yesterday we had the report that, if I can find it, give me a second, guys. Fabrizio Romano on YouTube said that in the last 3 to 4 days, Manchester United made contacts with the agents of other managers. Contacts are active for potential Erik ten Hag replacements. This week will be crucial. This means two things for me. This is not only incredibly disrespectful to Erik ten Hag, going behind his back, talking to other people while keeping him in the loop, saying, look, maybe you'll have your job. Maybe you'll have your job. But look, we're going to look to other people. We're going to talk to other people as well. We're not going to tell you, though. We're not going to tell you for certain. You can read about it in the news, but we're not going to tell you. Do you know how disrespectful that is? But what this really is to me, it is the nail in the coffin for Erik ten Hag's career at Manchester United. It is done. It is dusted. To me, this tells me that he is no longer going to be manager at Manchester United, and we're just playing a waiting game. Now, why do I think this? Why do I think this? To be honest, it's like anything in life. It's like relationships. It's like marriages. If there is any doubt in a relationship whatsoever, typically the relationship is coming to an end. And I think it's going to be seen here. They're talking to other people. INEOS are active interest. They're actively talking to other people. Paddy says, I believe Ten Hag will be sacked. I agree with you, my friend. I agree with you. I mean, we've all heard rumblings about Erik ten Hag potentially leaving. We've all heard rumblings saying, look, it was supposed to be done. It was like talked about before. Jacob Steinberg released the exclusive that no matter what happened, he would be gone. The Muppeteers have mentioned that it's very likely that he'll be leaving the football club. So, look, chat, what do we think? Do you agree with me? Because it's quite a bold prediction I'm saying there. From that report alone, I believe that Erik ten Hag is gone from Manchester United. Let me know in the chat. Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm being a bit too bold, a bit too brave about it? Let me know, chat. Let me know. Origami says, afternoon, chat. Neves is good, but 51 million will not be enough. You've got to double that, really, to be affording João Neves. Exo Brian says, the next United manager would either be Tuchel or De Zerbi. It's an interesting choice. De Zerbi is coming, says Jack. I'm feeling a lot of support for De Zerbi at the moment. A lot of support for De Zerbi. Origami says, if INEOS sack Erik ten Hag, it will not be by performance, but by their scrutiny over the game model they're trying to implement. WY says he's going. Ayinka says, yeah, he's gone. I think he's gone. I think it's just confirmation. The fact that Fabrizio Romano is confirming that INEOS are essentially flirting. Like, come on, if we're talking about relationships, they're flirting. We've got the girlfriend in Erik ten Hag who is just sort of, she's bored. She's bored INEOS. She's bored the boyfriend in INEOS and Sergeant Ratcliffe, and they're looking elsewhere. INEOS have gone to the club. He's gone to a bar, he's having a little look about, he's having a little flirt, and it's, in my opinion, incredibly disrespectful. But it's what they're doing, and you can't get away from that. Maybe Zidane is coming, says Pandy. Zinedine Zidane, I think, as much as I would love him to come to this football club, at some point, he's not a project manager. He's not a man to come in now. He's a man to come in 5 years' time when United are competing for titles, when we're competing for Champions Leagues. But we've got time for waiting till that. Premium says, Ten Hag was given complete say over transfers. INEOS unable to agree new terms that suits the new model, it seems. Yeah, we heard it from Mullock a lot this year, Ten Hag's personal mouthpiece. Pardon me, sorry guys. That he wants control over transfers, that he wants to have a veto, that he wants to say who's coming in, who's coming out. INEOS don't want that. They want control. They want autonomy. Lebega says De Zerbi in. So, Who is the man? We're hearing a lot of De Zerbi, but who else? Potter, Roberto De Zerbi, Maurizio Pochettino, but also a theory that's been floating around Twitter and floating around the Muppeteers a little bit, is that the manager might already be employed, and maybe that's why it's taking so long. Speaking to some people about this, and it's very clear, including like we made we've stolen another one of City's men, haven't we, for the infrastructure. We're signing the best in class, no matter where they're employed. We're bringing in Dan Ashworth. We're bringing in Amar Barreda. We brought in, is it Toby something? Forgive me if I've forgotten the name, I apologise. Toby Craig. All of these are best in class, previously just working or were actively working at another top club. What's stopping us from bringing in an Inzaghi? What's stopping us from bringing in a Rúben Amorim? And I can tell you that the latter of those is the person who I believe is going to be the next Manchester United manager. I remember, I can't remember who reported it, but a while back, I believe the Muppeteers either aggregated or said that they heard that Amorim is is one of the top candidates they have to replace Ten Hag if he ends up leaving. And with the Gonzalo Inácio report just coming out, a Sporting player, which Amorim currently manages, I mean, Liverpool were looking at him. West Ham were actively looking at him. Chelsea were sniffing around him. He's certainly willing to leave the club this summer. Do you think United are maybe having a little look at Rúben Amorim? Maybe something about bringing him in. Is that where the INACIO links are coming from? They're advancing in talks to him and they're going, hey Amorim, who would you, hypothetically, bring into United? Oh, Gonzalo Inácio. I'd love to bring him in as a centre-back. I really like working with him. He's a great player. United go off to do their due diligence with the club itself. To me, it's smelling a little bit... It smells not fishy, but there's something to it. There's certainly something to it. Do you agree with me, guys? Do you agree with me that Rúben Amorim is certainly a player, certainly a manager, all over the place today, that we would be bringing in to coach Manchester United? Ianka says, imagine Southgate, Brexit United. Gareth Southgate will not come to Manchester United. I promise you. Just does not work logistically. Does not work logistically. Amorim plays a back three and will change how we currently play. I think Amorim would have to bend to the wills of whatever United would want him to do, to be honest. We saw it with Wilcox putting in the whole my way or the highway with Erik ten Hag. You have to play a possession-based style and not this whole end-to-end rubbish he's got going on. Dean Whelan says, stop the lies. Liverpool backed out because Sporting upped their price. Price hasn't stopped us. I don't think it will stop us. I think we pay a good amount of money for Amorim. If they want their man, they will bring them in. They're doing it to get Dan Ashworth a bit... Okay, fine. Admittedly, they're going into a bit of a loophole around it. And the arbitration, by the way, guys, for Dan Ashworth is starting this week. I can confirm that. X O'Brien says, I think Tuchel will bring the best out of Mount. Here's an interesting question. Thomas Tuchel or Rúben Amorim? Both managers I really quite like. I enjoy watching both teams' style of play. I think they play attractive football at times. Tuchel at PSG especially is one of those people. But will you be happy if Ten Hag stays? Says a Yinka. I will back whichever manager is coaching Manchester United. I think it is ludicrous under this new era, under this new system. Look, I've criticised INEOS already because I think they can't just come in and escape it. They can't be given this whole, they're learning. They've been running Nice for however long. You can't come into United and get a free pass, but you have to back them. They can't be without criticism, but they have to back them. Ten Hag stays. I don't want him to. I think it is time to move on. I wish him all the best and I have a lot of love for him. But if he stays, I'll support him. Because I think he can turn it around. If Amorim comes in, I'll support him. If Southgate comes in, God forbid, I would support Gareth Southgate and Manchester United. And yes, we're at 25 likes now, guys. I would love to hit 30 today. It's been a wonderful stream so far. Please keep on getting involved down below. I've been loving the conversation. And please, hit that subscribe button. I want to see you here every day at 11 a.m. talking the latest and greatest Manchester United news with me. Kadali says, Chelsea, Aston Villa, Crystal Palace all have a here we go. What about Man United 0? Taking time, mate. It's the manager situation. I've been telling you, it's stalling. And that is a valid criticism to aim at INEOS. Inka says, but again, Tuchel is a short-term manager. I would rather go with Ten Hag then. That's interesting to think about. That's an interesting way to think about it, to be fair. Do you bring in Thomas Tuchel knowing that he can't really go more than 2, 3, at a stretch, maybe 4 years at a club? Like, he was at Stuttgart, wasn't he? He was at, how long did he stay there? He was at PSG for maybe like 2, 3 years off the top of my head. Chelsea for a similar amount of time. Bayern for a year. Yeah, you're right. That's an interesting way to think about it. You want a project manager. Do United think they can make Thomas Tuchel into a project manager? Alex Nevad says, Ten Hag for 1 more year. Again, mate, you can't just have a manager in a new project for 1 more year. You can't. It's a project. You need someone who's going to be here for the long term. If Ten Hag stays, a new contract needs to be handed to the man, or at least a 1 year extension. Origami says the whole manager merry-go-round for my club is just woeful. I agree. It's very disrespectful to Ten Hag. We need, all of us need Osberg. Thank you, Origami. All of us need, as fans, as the manager himself, we all need confirmation. Bring back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, says Elinka. You know what? Controversially, I would love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer back at Manchester United. That's another conversation for another time. But you know what? He'd be up there on my list. He really would be up there on my list, guys. I'm sorry. Off topic, those Bruno Fernandes links out of the club. How solid is it? It is agent talk, mate. Brian, it is agent talk. If you watch yesterday's stream, we have a really, really, really good segment on that. We do a really big deep dive into it. Finish the stream first. Don't leave. Finish the stream. But then go back and watch that. Thinking INEOS are trying to wait for Southgate till the Euros is over. Not a chance, mate. Not a chance. We are... No. No. I Neville spoke about it. It looks like amateur hour. Because we're not going to bring him in. I expect him, because he's completely focused on England. He's completely focused. Imagine we bring him in, we give him 2 days, which is nowhere near enough prep time, to get completely ready and used to the squad, and then ask him to run pre-season late when other clubs have already started their pre-season beforehand. I mean, it doesn't make sense bringing Southgate in logistically. I know other people have been talking about it. I know people have been talking about it, saying, look, he's their man. It doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. Maybe their info is right, and I'll have an egg on my face at the end of this. But Gareth Southgate logistically cannot come to Manchester United. Whether you want him or not, we think it's a good idea, bad idea. Logistically, it doesn't make sense. Why did we sack Ole? Performance has got poor. Point blank. And he says, INEOS don't know how to connect with the fans. You can put as much money as you want, but you need to know how to communicate. Yeah, I agree. The communication at the start has been really, really good. I would love a bit more clarity on the situation, because they're leaving everyone in the dark. Up next on the stream, after we finish talking about Erik ten Hag, we're talking about Sofian Amrabat and the dysfunctional nature of Manchester United in the very players themselves. How they don't get along. How the club is restructuring in that sense. There says nobody wants Southgate. No one knows Southgate. Does anyone here want Gareth Southgate? Let me know. There's surely someone. We have 60 people in the chat right now. Surely someone wants Southgate in here. Origami says INEOS just doing the walk to the right decision rather than run to a wrong decision is everything. Marginal gains in effect, to be honest. That's a really interesting... Oh, thank you, Origami. That's really interesting. That's really... Yeah, no, I get it. I do... It's not rash. They are thinking about it. But if you already knew that Erik ten Hag was going to leave the football club prior to the FA Cup final, why keep everyone waiting? That's sort of how I think about it. I think at some point you have to communicate. I like what you're saying, but there needs to be transparency. We're talking a lot about communication. Brailsford himself, you spoke about marginal gains. Brailsford loves marginal gains. He also loves communication. And it's a bit hypocritical for United to be asking for communication, wanting their coach to be so transparent, so clear with his players, but not communicating very well towards their own head. There's a hypocrisy there, guys. There's a hypocrisy there. Sheldon Toulon says, I want Southgate as far away from my club as possible. I agree, mate. I agree. Alex Devad says, Southgate's never. I agree with you, mate. Guys, we're at 27 likes, only 3 likes away from 30 likes. There's 64 on you in the stream right now. Surely 3 of you have either forgotten about it, or you know what, you might be enjoying the stream, just waiting to see how it's going along. Leave a like on the video right now. Let me know how you're feeling about the stream. Ten Hag decision today, says WY. It genuinely could come, and I mean this. I think it's now, I thought it was going to be yesterday. I think from now on, it's damn near impossible to predict. Genuinely. I think it's impossible to predict. It could come in 5 minutes. It could come in 10 minutes. It could come in 2 weeks' time. It could come in a week's time. Like, I genuinely don't have boys, I don't have a Scooby, if I'm being completely honest with you. Genuinely don't have a clue. I don't think anyone does. I think anyone claiming they do have a clue is lying to you. Sheldon Toulon says, we have to accept that things are going to be done differently at the club now. What? Without communicating? I think the club will get better with it, hopefully. The club will get better with it, hopefully. So, any last opinions on the Erik ten Hag situation, guys? Who do we think, if we all agree with me, hypothetically, and we're treating me as gospel, and Erik ten Hag is gone from the football club, who do you want in? I want to see everyone in the chat talking to me. I want to know if you want Thomas Tuchel coming in. I want to know if you want Graham Potter coming in. I doubt I'll see anyone saying they want Gareth Southgate coming in. Do you want De Zerbi? Do you want Amorim? Do you want Inzaghi? Let me know in a chat. Let me know in the chat, guys. Let me know in the chat. Rajiv says, the basketball style will continue if the current manager stays. Yeah, it's quite unfortunate. It is quite unfortunate. The basketball style, the whole end-to-end, the whole massive gaps in midfield. Yeah. Yeah, I think it will stay. Pandy says, Xavi, next manager. Thoughts? Xavi is someone who won a La Liga off of an incredible season from Mark ter Stegen. I think in possession, they're okay. I think out of possession, they're not my favourite side in the world. I think defensively, they're very leaky. And I think if you have a top goalkeeper, I can't speak today. A top goalkeeper having a top season, you're in a bit of luck. Apart from that, I don't think he's a sustainable manager, especially not in the Premier League, when every side is fantastic and capable of causing a threat. WS says Tuchel for me. Rajiv says Tuchel is a no-brainer. Amma says I want Tuchel. Brian says Tuchel or De Zerbi, any of the two. Liam says it's a strange one because the people that are meant to make the decision aren't in the role yet. Just because they're on gardening leave doesn't mean they can't communicate. Doesn't mean they can't have their say. So, shall we move on to perhaps one of the funniest pieces of news I've seen at United in a long time. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but it's it's Amrabat's brother going on television and slandering one of Amrabat's teammates. Have a listen. If you haven't heard it already, I'm going to read it out now. Let me see if I can find it. Give me a second, guys. Nordin Amrabat, that's the name of the brother, says Casemiro was not injured in the FA Cup final. He found out that he wouldn't start, so he thought to himself, okay, I will sit in the stands then. He was fit to play. That is a wild accusation. Do you know how unprofessional that is? And yes, he did. He covered it up. I'll read, for the sake of fairness, I'll read it out, the reply. Today, during an interview on television, it was suggested that my brother only played in the cup final due to an injury to another player. My response to this was pure speculation, and my only motivation was to defend my own brother who was on the field due to his own merit and hard work. My words have been taken out of context. There was no ill intention whatsoever, and to suggest another player chose not to play is wrong. I don't know what happened on the day, so let's move on from this non-story. It's so funny. He is backtracking at its finest, and he's covering his own arse. His tail is between his legs. He is scurrying away. He's terrified, boys. He's terrified. Look, you know what? It's a case of, to me, I mean, there was rumblings. I mean, what Norden is saying, Amrabat's brother, what Norden is saying is that Casemiro just sort of didn't fancy it. He was entitled and saw that, oh, I'm not starting. Yeah. No, I'm not playing. And it wasn't spoken about much because I think Ten Hag thought he was leaving. I think Ten Hag was like, you know what? I'm having my high. No need to put a dampener on the mood. I mean, yeah, no, he backtracked. The toxicity of this club is unmatched, sadly. Genuinely, look, I don't mind players talking to their family members about it. Like, you know what? Everyone has office gossip. Remember coming home from school and chatting with your brother, or your sister, or your family, or maybe your mates about stuff that happened at school, or stuff like that, or gossip. I mean, that's what it is. This is office gossip at its best. The problem is, you don't want your office gossip being put online, on television, where thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of people will see it. I think, personally, it's hilarious. Honestly, it made me giggle. It really, really, really made me giggle. And you know what? I'd still rather have Casemiro leave than Amrabat. Yes, Amrabat's a snitch. So? Casemiro is the one who threw a hissy fit. Honestly, it's on Amrabat to now go to his brother and say, look, mate, don't do that again. And he's got to be a lot more reserved. He's not got to snitch. I don't like the word snitch, but he's not got to go tattletale as much. Just keep it to himself. Honestly, just keep it to himself. Amrabat snitched? Yeah. I mean, I don't like the word snitch in this context. I don't really think he did, but he sort of did snitch. But what's so funny, like, we had Paul Pogba and, like, Minaviola and, like, those sort of, like, funny stuff, like the whole... There's some funny reports. There's something buried underneath the Old Trafford or that sort of gossip or, like, story. I haven't heard something like this in a long time. A player just snitching on another. It's quite funny to me. Let's be honest, it's quite funny. WY says Amrabat is leaving anyway. Would you want Amrabat to leave? Chat, let me know. Would you want Amrabat to leave? I'd rather Casemiro leave than Amrabat. After that FA Cup final performance, I'm inclined to let Amrabat stay because he seemed quite adjusted to the pace of the Premier League. He was relaxed, he was calm, he was aware. He's not a player to receive it on the half turn. I was watching Trent yesterday playing midfield for England. He looked so uncomfortable in that midfield. I think what people forget about the midfield is when you receive your ball facing your centre-backs, the back to the opposition goal, is you've always got to be on the half turn. You've got to be aware of players 360 degrees around you. Amrabat loves playing when he can face away from his own goal towards the opposition goal, and he only has to worry about 180 degrees. That's when he's at his best, and we really did see that. He's been asked at times to be a 6 in a pivot, on a double pivot, and to just sort of see him on the half turn and spray those passes out. You don't want him doing that. You want him dropping back between the two centre-backs, pushing the centre-backs wider, creating a 3 at the back, and having him be the primary ball carrier. He's got those long diagonals. He's got those progressive passes. He can certainly do it. I want both gone. Both are bums. I don't think Amrabat's a bum. I don't think he's a bum. He's a good enough player. Physically, I know we all joke about the Mbappe stuff, but he is quick. He's physically quite powerful. Like, come on. So guys, if you haven't already, with the stream will be ending in the next 10 minutes. If you really, really enjoyed, please leave a like on the video. Hit that subscribe button. Remember, at 2 o'clock today, Ben Jacobs is going to be joining us. Not me, Anil Condola will be interviewing him. He's a great guy. Both are going to have a wonderful conversation. Please make sure you go over there. Make sure you tell him Alex sent you. And I'm here every day at 11 a.m. bringing you the latest and greatest Manchester United news. Got a little bit more to talk about. Talking about Amrabat, talking about Amari Forson leaving, and also talking about Benjamin Sesko, who Ben Jacobs, coincidentally the man of the moment, will be joining us later. He spoke about him a little bit in connection to Manchester United. Yinka saying Amrabat also played left back for us, which isn't his position. He's a utility player. You could probably throw him at right back. You could probably, if you really need to, ask him to be a third centre back. I wouldn't play him as a 2. I would not play Amrabat as a 2. But I think he could certainly be a third centre-back. Certainly. Premium Casemiro sacrificed himself to make us win the FA Cup. That's all I'm taking from this. Premium, you're taking such a positive light on everything. Show up on these streams more often, mate. Show up on these streams more often. You're a bright light. You're a very bright light. Casemiro has been awful this season, giving away possession, careless passes, and is on £350,000 a week. Getting rid of that will be a godsend to our finances, I promise you. WY says, will we bid again for Neves? If his price comes down, I don't think we bid for Neves. I think we suggested to Sporting a price we'd be willing to pay for any midfielder, let alone Neves, any midfielder. And I think that's how Record have gone with it, if I'm being completely honest with you. Toulon says, I'd keep Amrabat younger, more agile, faster than Casemiro. I agree. Olakatan, I believe that's how I say your name, my friend. Amrabat should stay. He was played out of position in the start. I agree. So 2 more minutes on Amrabat. Any more questions you have for me about Amrabat, or any opinions you have? Let me know. Any midfielder you'd have in, as well as would you keep Amrabat and bring someone else in, or would you be ludicrous, quite frankly, and keep both Casemiro and Amrabat? Any other opinions in the chat? Annika says, we shouldn't go for any player who would cost us more than £60 million. I think that's INEOS' policy for the summer, if I'm being honest. I think that's INEOS' policy for the summer. So, Benjamin Sesko, everybody. Very quick thing on him. Ben Jacobs, a man coming on at 2 o'clock. How many times can I say that in one stream? Benjamin Sesko, apparently we are considering him. Arsenal are very interested, alongside a few other clubs that aren't named Manchester United. But we are considering him. Again, I think Jacobs is right. I think we are looking at him. Personally, I wouldn't touch Sesko with a 20-foot pole. Not because he's a bad player. I just think he would be too... What's the phrase? Too competitive with Rasmus Højlund. Unless you're playing 2 up front, having an unclear pecking order doesn't really work, to be honest with you. I think if we were to sign the perfect striker for Manchester United this summer, it would be Dominic Solanke. He'll never come. He'll be too expensive. He'll be too... I think he'd want to stay at Bournemouth. I think he'd want assurances over playing time. But say he was happy to stay at United. Say he'd be happy to play second fiddle. Solanke would be great. How old is he? He's mid to late 20s. He's not really going to get any better than he is. He's a proven goal scorer in the Premier League. He would be absolutely perfect. I just think he'd want to be first choice. And we have Rasmus Højlund, who we need to develop, who we need to share minutes with someone, and who will eventually be a world-class 20, maybe even 30 goal a season striker. But he's not there yet, and we need someone to facilitate that development, and Solanke would be perfect. Keep Amrabat, sell Casemiro, and bring Neves. Origami says, Benfica just winning with sales. Darwin Núñez, Enzo Fernandez, Gonzalo Ramos. Transfers are over £300 million. You know what? That makes me a little bit sceptical, to be honest, because none of those three have really set the world alight. I don't rate Enzo Fernandez. I think the fee Chelsea paid for him is ludicrous. I think he's a luxury player who can only work in very few systems. Sesko is too expensive at £60 million. Yeah, you're right. Darwin Núñez, again, he hasn't flopped per se, but is he worth the money? Is he worth the money Liverpool paid for him? Brian says, I wanted Garissi because he's more experienced and can help Højlund. He's also cheaper, £17.5 million. He is also an ideal player to bring in. He's an ideal player. I believe Muppeteers had him as like the green player in like their squad builder. They had like a green, yellow, red traffic light system. Green, the most likely player to come. Yellow, less likely, and red, not really having a chance. So yeah, Garissi could certainly come to Manchester United, I feel, in the summer. Any more opinions on the striker situation? Very quickly before we're going to discuss a more positive thing. I've been quite harsh to INEOS lately. I want to be positive about them. Mainly because I'm hopeful. I'm a hopeful man who wants the best for the football club. And I think INEOS have their faults so far. They also have their positives. And what I'm about to say makes me believe they're not Glazers 2.0. Oh, I forgot. Yes, Savant Origami saying Gavesi's going to Borussia Dortmund. Apologies, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's on me. Sorry. Just look at Ivan Toney or Icardi. Don't bring Ivan Toney anywhere near my football club. Don't bring him anywhere near. No. A player with a character like that is someone who I don't want anywhere close to my football club. The arrogance, the sort of mercenary nature. No, you want play. We've had too many mercenaries at United in the last few years. I don't want any more. I would take João Neves. He had a purple patch at Yinka. He had a purple patch. He managed to beat Johnny Evans, who didn't pass his fitness test. He beat him quite nicely, and everyone wants João Neves. No, I'm good, thanks. I'm good. He's a competent Premier League striker. Nothing more than that. Not a United player. Any thoughts on Thiago Santos at right back, says Origami. I don't have a clue about him, actually. I don't know much about him. But very quickly, we're going to end on a positive note. We typically do that on our streams. Usually, it's about Carrington, the best and brightest part of Manchester United Football Club. But instead, we're going to be talking about INEOS' infrastructure. Mike Keegan said, Toby Craig, formerly of Chelsea and Manchester City, is to become Manchester United's new Chief Communications Officer. Craig, who worked with incoming CEO Omar Barada at City, will replace the outgoing Ellie Norman. Despite the job title remaining the same, it is thought the role has been substantially rescoped. While Norman was also tasked with marketing, brand, content and fan engagements, Craig's focus is likely to surround communication and public affairs. We were talking about communication earlier, weren't we? Well, that's quite a nice thing, don't you think? I think it's quite nice. I think that shows an intent to change, an intent to communicate with the fans, an intent to show transparency. And what's also interesting is I believe Norman was not on holiday. I think it was on half term. I think he was away. We now have a new communications officer. We now have someone who can probably structure the Erik ten Hag staying brief, the Erik ten Hag sacking brief. I really think that's quite important. We have someone in there who can officially announce that and officially dictate that. But to me, it also shows we want the best in class. Omar Barada, ex-Man City. Toby Craig, ex-Man City. Jason Wilcox, ex-Manchester City. All highly rated. All were part of it, taking Manchester City to being one of the most dominant teams in world football. The most dominant team in the Premier League era post Sir Alex Ferguson. It's not a bad thing bringing these people in. It's not a bad thing. And that gives me hope. That gives me so much hope. When we get Dan Ashworth in, when we get everyone in properly working, there are no more excuses. But these people are coming in. We're forming an identity of the boardroom, an identity of a structure. I'm really quite hopeful for it. WY, what will his role be? He's a communications officer. It's a very vague job title, and I can't really tell you what a day-to-day would be because I don't have a Scooby, mate. But I'm assuming it would be around preparing press releases, organising interviews. For example, say I wanted to get, the MUFC MPB channel wanted to get an interview with Johnny Evans, or Willie Kambwala recently did an interview. We would be approaching him, and he would be looking at us, looking at MUFC MPB's background. It's the same way like the United Sun probably reached out to Ellie Norman, and they did an interview with Hoyland and stuff like that. So I think that sort of is, he's engaging with fan channels, engaging with fan groups, engaging with the fans more generally, but also with sponsors and the like, and anyone interested in representing or being a part of Manchester United. Ashworth needs to be in at the start of next season. It's going on too long. The arbitration is starting this week, per my information. Don't take that as gospel, but per my information, it's starting this week. So hopefully we'll hear more about that very soon. They were waiting for Toby to come in as Ellie didn't know how to release the tweet about Erik ten Hag says premium. You know what? On that particularly humorous note, we're going to end the stream. I really enjoyed today, guys. Thank you so much for coming along. I'm here every day at 11 a.m. talking the latest and greatest Manchester United news. If you want to watch anything more from MUFC MPB today, we've got a fantastic interview coming up with Ben Jacobs, conducted by Anil Kondola, occurring at 2 o'clock today. If you enjoyed, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I'll see you guys next time.